So, all right, this is one of our final weeks of our book club and anchored community. We've been doing the multiply method by Sarah Robbins. It has been so good. And you want to make sure if you do this book study, do this book club, pick up the free PDF that goes along with it. There's some great resources and tools as well. And grab a friend because it's so much better together. So today we're going to be wrapping up chapters 7 and 8. I feel like I highlighted the heck out of these chapters myself. And so we were blowing up the chat just now with a one. If you loved the book, you're getting a lot of value out of it. Put a two in the chat if you're feeling like, oh, this is kind of, I've got some areas I need to grow in. Like if we were like being transparent and honest, there's some areas like, oh, okay, it's not my upline, it's not my downline, it's me. I need to like lock in some things, as the kids would say. All right. I love that. Lock in. That reminds me of Top Gun. I'm like, anybody else watch the original Top Gun when we were much younger? I wanted to be the first female fighter pilot. It's like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to look so cute. Somebody else came and did it. And I actually met her. She was a speaker at a Plexus event. Do you guys remember when the first female fighter pilot came? She was so cool. I was so excited it was her. Needless to say, I did not go on to be a fighter pilot. However, another one of my dreams was to work for National Geographic and travel the world taking photographs. That has come true. I don't work for National Geographic today. I partnered with Plexus Worldwide. Instead, I get to work around my family and my schedule. But you know what is really cool? They have paid me to travel the world. And I get to take pictures and promote it on social media. How much fun is that? So part of that dream came true. It was just bigger than I thought, which segues into chapter 7. Is social media that sells versus social media and the selling system. And so some of this was like really great tips on it. And I think at the time that this was written to, social media wasn't to the level that it is. When I started social media 7 years ago with Plexus, I had private accounts. And those private accounts were only open to friends and family that I did life with. Like if we were in co-op together or we were in church together or we'd actually gone to school, it was all private. So I only had about 200 followers total. Today, there's I funnel because I have statistics. I'm funneling about 180,000 views every 2 weeks. Now, views are important, just so that you know. Algorithms change, things shift. So it's not so much likes and loves and comments as much as the eyeballs that you're getting on your posts. Does that make sense? Like who is seeing your content? So I like that she talked about social media here, but I also want to make sure that it is relevant because of the fact that this was written a little while ago. And a little while since that, you guys know social media changes so quickly, right? What we used to do isn't necessarily going to be the same thing that we work today. Does that make sense? All right. So I could talk and talk and talk about social media, but I really love that she just talked about on page 168, she creating posts that perform with your audience in mind. That makes sense. But the question is, do you know who your audience is? Now, we had a mastermind call with Marcia Tate. She's a marketing strategist. If you didn't get to watch that, go check out that video. She trained us on how to use Chat GTP. And I will tell you, this is not in the book, but I'm going to give you this tip. If you don't know who your audience is, who your ideal client is, talk to Chatty. Tell Chatty your story. Give Chatty the long extended version. It can take it, okay? And then when you are done with that, ask it the question. Give you, based on the story that you have now given it, give you the ideal client profile. Who is your ideal client? What does she look like? Where is she located? What is she doing? How can I best serve her with what I have been through? Do you need me to say that again? Okay. So go to chat, tell her the whole story. Then at the end, you're going to say, based on the information that I just gave you, tell me who my ideal client is. Where is she at? What is she doing? What is she struggling with? How can I serve her? All of a sudden, it will unlock it And I used to hate niches. We did a whole niche training and I was like, I will never niche down. I accidentally niched down because I'm in the throes of perimenopause and I'm not alone. I discovered back fat last night trying on dresses. I didn't even know that was a thing. I don't look at my back. I didn't know that I had cleavage in the backside. That's a thing. So I made a post. You know how many messages I get? I was like, listen, one of them was not plexus. And I said, listen, this is my before back fat picture. Watch what happens with the purple drink. I'm going to do another one with the after. She was like, laugh out loud. What's the purple drink? But it was just because, I mean, how many women are trying on pilgrim dresses for Easter and trying to figure out what are you going to fit into? What are you going to like? What are you going to wear? So adding value to people around you is fun. So anyway, she talked about that on the page, but I want to encourage you. Creating those posts is based on your uniqueness. It doesn't have to look like anybody else, okay? So I could go on and going on and going on and going on, but I would love to hear like some of your takeaways. So feel free to unmute and share. Maybe you had something that really stood out to you in this chapter. You're like, oh, I love that. I want to share that.
Well, first of all, after I finished reading today, which I read the two wrong chapters, I read 6 and 7. But anyway, I knew you'd be proud of me because I don't think I've ever read this far in a book without giving up. But anyway, it was a great chapter. I liked, talking about giving value, and it says give great value. There were 3 words on page 167. I highlighted that. Um, and like you just pointed out on 168, those are great ways to give value. And then I also highlighted on 170 to think about what free tips can you give on social media to help them in the area where they're struggling, which is really good, giving free information. And I like the pause before you post every day and ask yourself, how can I make their lives easier or better today? And think, what can I give instead of what can I get?
Amen. Amen. Imagine what that would look like. It would be intentional, right? It would be intentionality. And we have some amazing things happening in Anchored with the daily drops. So that Nicole, by the way, like high five, please go and love on her and just tell her like she's killing
It's
it
great. It's great.
because she really is. But this is the thing, pause, pray about those posts, figure out there's several different options she's giving you, then figure it out and then throw it over in your chatty. And I cannot tell you enough. You can love it, you can hate it. It streamlines your voice. And again, if it already knows who your person is, who you're trying to minister to, who you're trying to serve, it can help you really hone in on that individual. Instead of trying to speak to the masses of all the people in the entire Instagram network web, you're going to be speaking to women who need you. Like Gail does a fantastic job in her stories, y'all. If you need tips on like how to run your stories, go follow Gail in her stories. She's absolutely killing it over there. She's adding so much value. I'm like over here, Gail. I'm like doing my stuff now. I'm like, oh, and then I found a thing. I was like, I need to message Gail. Is that normal? And I Googled it. So I was like, yes. But now I'm like so invested in Gail. I'm like, what is she going to talk about tomorrow? She's creating on page 176 curiosity. Curiosity marketing converts to customers. Do not give them all the things. They can get some milk, but they don't get the whole cow, right? So, and this is really key because I think sometimes we can come across as being experts. And the last thing you wanted to be is a medical expert because you're not, unless you actually do have a PhD behind your name or a doctorate or something like that. Most of us don't. I didn't go to medical school. I tell people that I have a 26-year-old. I have 7 kids. Two of them have special needs. I'm like, I'm the super crunchy holistic mama that was crunchy before it was cool. We were homeschooling before COVID. Like I've got life experience. Life gave me a PhD, but I don't have a medical degree. So I'm just giving you my experience from people I've worked with or known or things I've researched. People
And
relate.
can I just add something?
Yes, please.
So I work at a hospital, and it's a thing when you get used to noises or buzzes, like you don't hear them anymore. And so I would just encourage everybody with social media, with your stories, like don't let people get so used to what you're talking about, the same thing, that they just don't hear it anymore or they don't want to see it, because that's just our humanness. That's how God made us. So it's good to just talk about different things. And you might even use a product, not encouraging it, but I'm just saying you might use a product that's not a Plexus product, and it is okay to still talk about it.
Mhm.
And so I think that's my, it just popped in my brain. God says, okay, share this. Like, just we get used to seeing things, and then it's no longer interesting or enticing. Even when you have a group of people that are following you, maybe they're friends, maybe they're VIP customers. If you're just saying the same thing over and over, they aren't going to be on, that you're going to say, oh, where'd everybody go? But we have to just talk about different things. And I love how Jenna said that, just like people don't want us to be perfect. And the back fat is a really good illustration of that. Like, don't we all have some of that excess? I try to say excess, it just sounds better to my brain than fat. So we all have some excess, especially when you hit perimenopause and beyond. And so just being real with people, like, this isn't about perfection. Plexus is not about perfection. And I always say it's a tool. And I think in the past, we've used Plexus as the tool,
Mhm.
and it is not the tool. We should have lots of, you can't build a house with just a hammer. You have to have some other tools. And so I think we have to talk about, take a walk with them. Like I talk, call it walk and talk. Like, just it doesn't have to be scripted. It's just like talking, and God will give you what He wants you to share. And what I've learned, when sometimes I get irritated, like Instagram, because that's where I do my stories and share them to Facebook, it'll scroll on me. And I used to get really mad about it because I'm like, oh, I had a great thought here and now it's gone. And now I realize, like, God didn't want me to say that. So just being okay with all the glitches and all the things, because He will give you what He wants you to share if you're just open, an open vessel to that door, that crack, whatever it is, to walk through, just to serve people. My TED talk is done. Sorry, you guys.
No, I love it when you share. I love when all of you on mic
I
and
wanted to
share.
share something on page 173 because this is a struggle of mine. I have a hard time, for some reason, sharing about the business, even though I joined for the business. And so on the bottom of 173, I liked how it talked about, you're selling two things, basically a product and an opportunity. And how do you tell a story about the business opportunity? And I love some of those things they pointed out there, success stories, new distributor, welcome posts, all the things. So I thought that was a great little tidbit. So like in part-time hours, this business is allowing me to dot, dot, dot. I had
Abs-
somebody reach out to me this morning because I posted a post about Oliver and I walking this morning. And honestly, these are things that I prayed for before this opportunity came along. Was I wanted something that I would have time for exercise and I would have time for my quiet time with the Lord first thing in the morning, because when I worked for the corporate world, I was like out the door. And so she messaged me and she said, I want to be able to go on walks with you and your dog. And we've talked about the business before. She wants it, but she just hadn't got there yet. So it was kind of an open door to talk to her more about it. So I invited her to the call tonight and she's going to be on.
Amen. Amen. It's the relatability, right? So I was challenged. I was on a call with leaders. I guess, Angela, was it last month? Beginning of last month. Um, and somebody was, I do a lot of talking about skin cancer. I do a lot of talking about no makeup, all the things, just because that's where I'm at. Um, and I can't tell you how rewarding it is. And this has nothing to do with Plexus at all. This is just about educating and empowering women. Like, it's important. I've had women message me because of videos they saw or messages they heard or posts they read. They went and got checked and they found out they had melanoma. They would not have known in the middle of their back, in the middle of their bra strap is the last place that they would have looked or seen, or they just wouldn't have, in some weird hidden spot. I had a girl that had one in her hoo-ha. Last pause. Yeah, that was a very personal call. I was like, because what are you checking? I don't know. I don't have a mirror. I had I had babies and I did have a big mirror for the babies because I wanted to see how that was gonna, and I survived. Okay. But those are the most rewarding messages. And it has nothing to do with Plexus. It's adding value. John Maxwell says, when you add value to other people, you will never take advantage of them. And that is why you can be extremely proud to be network marketers with Plexus because we have something of value. We are valuable and we're adding value. Gail, you unmuted. So I know that means you got something good.
I do. March is my birthday, turned 65 this year, and I always schedule my preventative screenings for March. Just left the dermatologist, and they took a little tissue, they took a sample. But the idea, I'm a breast cancer survivor, and I am always very loud this time of year about prevention. And so that's a great way to add value. That's how we serve, is just encouraging people because it's scary. Like I have a mammogram Friday and you can be praying for me because it's scary when you have breast cancer and you put the girls in the squeezing hold, like until you get the call, you're on pins and needles. So it's just, it's really good. And I am pretty vulnerable about it. I usually do duo lives about especially breast cancer awareness. And so just whatever it is for you. And if you haven't gotten your screenings, this is your wake up call or your encouragement to do that.
Well, I love that. It's a great opportunity to, again, add value, right? So on page 176, this is rather than giving away all of the details of all the things, leave just enough information to spark curiosity, which leads to more engagement and ultimately more people reaching out to you with questions. And so we were talking about this the other day about stories versus posts on Facebook. And I can tell you from just training and different things like that, reels, stories, um, those are very engaging. They get a lot of eyeballs on it. But then Cassie said, you know what? I do those and I get crickets. It's just my audience. I don't get anybody, but I do a post and I get messages and I get comments. And I was like, okay, so it's learning your market. Why would you try all these marketing strategies on a market or your niche of people that's not them, right? So if you're running stories and you're not getting things, you could be ghosted. There's a thing. My daughter just educating me on it. It means for whatever reason, no rhyme or reason, you're getting ghosted, which means your content's not getting pushed out. It happens. Who knows why? Couldn't tell you. Or if you know that you're posting and that's your area, then yes, stretch yourself, talk to your audience in your stories. Remember, it's days of Deb's life, all right? Like days of our lives. Deb's in her stories, Gail's in her stories. It's just kind of going to point them back. You can leverage that to point them back to your post. If you want to hear some more, go check out my post today. I kind of went down a rabbit hole over there. So you can then create a funnel system with that. But finding the people where they're at and meeting them there is so key. All right. Anybody else have anything from chapter 7 for social media that you're like, I love that? Yes, you can actually post your stories you can post to your stories. Yep. I will tell you this secret. Do not ever with a capital E cross share from Instagram to Facebook. Do not hyperlink. Make one post on Instagram, have it auto link to Facebook. It will shadow ban you in a heartbeat. So if you're making a post and it's not getting an engagement and it's linked, that's why. So cut it off. And you need separate pictures. You can even use same content, but separate pictures because you have two different kinds of audiences on Instagram versus Facebook. Right?
Is that the same for stories
No,
or
stories
just
links all the way
posts?
through. Just stories, but posts or reels, I noticed the last 2 weeks, I linked my reels because it was just convenient. It was just easy. I'm going to click the button, make the reels on Instagram. It's going to send them right over to Facebook. When I do that, none of it is not hitting either platform at all. But when I cut it off and I'm running trial reels, which is really cool. So I'm going to train you real quick. I got 5 minutes. Trial reels is a new thing on Instagram. If you have not figured this out yet, it is actually really cool. My daughter's doing this. She's getting upwards of 50,000 views every reel she's making on trials. She's 18. Pray for her. I'm like, baby girl. Have you ever met Kira? You know, she's like the queen of all diamonds. She is going to do this one day and be great and amazing and way faster, better than any of us ever could. She's not there yet, but she knows the things. And so she said in the trials, you make the trial, you make the reel, you set it up to trial, make sure it doesn't post in your stories or on your Facebook. It is not linked. What Trials is doing is it's pushing out your content to all of your non-followers. Isn't that who we want to touch base with? So then it pushes it out. In her first 24 hours, if it hits 20,000 views, then it pops up to the rest of her followers. But at that point, it's already gone viral. Again, is there any rhyme or reason to this? Nope. We're still trying to test it to see if it's timing, and everybody's timing is different. Your prime time is different than my prime time. My prime time is like, in the morning first thing or car rider line. That's my prime time. Mamas are sitting in car rider line. So I know if I post, 2:30 to 4:30, I'm going to get engagement. So, but I'm usually the one running around 2:30 to 4:30 too. So yeah, it's only on Instagram. Trial Reels is only on Instagram. At 100%, you could do multiple trial reels a day to see. That's what I'm doing, Gail. So I'm dropping trial reels at different times of the day and I'm tracking it. And they are random. There's no like beautiful aesthetic rhyme or reason. I just took a video of me making my stuff this morning and then I put it over in CapCut, made it look great. I didn't have to figure it out. Had the music, dropped it in trial reels, and I left. I left for the day. I'm going to go back and see after the call. How did it do? Did it do okay? I did one last night of us walking. It hit 600 views in an hour and a half. Okay. But this is the thing. We've gotten so desensitized to saying, oh, it's only 600 views. How would it make you feel to stand in a room with 600 people looking at you and what you're sharing? Amazing, right? You'd be like, wow. And then do the percentage of that 600 people, 10%, 60 out of those 60, that might be interested. Another 10%, six. So don't get desensitized. There is like amazing amounts of people out there that are interested in what you have to say. It just takes time to build the trust and the credibility. So,
I know something not real related,
yes,
but
please share.
for posts. Um, and so posts, I do a lot of like post share on Facebook and then share it to Instagram. So I get both my things with only one post button. But something that Facebook has because of that is they have a scheduling option. So most of my things is like, oh yes, yes, Benny, yes, we have so much to say. So most of my things, I'm like, by the time I get a chance to draft my post, it is not my prime time to post it. But if I don't put it in the system, like it's going to vanish in the ether for me. So like I've been using that to make sure I get something out and I'm making sure I'm making those posts out, but like in the time that it's actually going to be the most effective.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
that scheduling thing is the best.
I would love for you to track your algorithms with that.
Yeah.
Like you're posting, like what's your prime time? And this is how you can do it. You can actually, it's like a social media reset. So you would take and you would post several times throughout the day over several days and see where your prime time is if you don't know what that is. You can also go and ask Chatty. Chat can help you with that as well because you can say, this is my age, this is my demographic, this is where I'm at, what I'm working on the platform. What is a prime time that we see? And it could be like Monday afternoons at 6 o'clock. Like sometimes that's really weird. In groups, I can run algorithms in groups and I know exactly when to go live because it'll tell me over a month, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days when I'm getting the most traffic in a group. It doesn't yet tell us that in Facebook. So Stephanie, I would love for you to like track that and tell us if the scheduling feature works because that would be very convenient. I've just been trained to drum the algorithms before I post. And if I schedule, I'm not drumming. So when I say drumming, I'm liking, I'm commenting, I'm sharing, I'm engaging in other people's content. I drop my content, I go back, I engage, I like, I love, I message because Facebook wants to see that you're interactive with other people. So I don't know. I don't use the scheduling thing. I love the idea of it. It would be very convenient. So you are going to have to test this out and tell us all how it works. I love it. Thank you for the tip. All right. Let's move on. Chapter 8. Well, leadership systems and duplication. This one, I don't know about you. I like highlighted like everything in here. I was like, oh, here we go. We're going to highlight it all. Because I can tell you, I think this is an area that people struggle with is personal growth, leadership development, and mindset. If you didn't do anything but those three things the rest of the month, and it's going to sound crazy, but you work on your personal development, you work on your mindset, you work on your leadership development, you are naturally going to grow into be the leader that you want to be, that you wish you had, and the people that you want to join your team. And then there's this really cool thing called the law of attraction. It starts to kick in. And when that kicks in, then you are starting to post. You're starting to act like, walk like, talk like, be like the individual that you want to be. And you start to attract that caliber and that quality of that individual. And so I love this because we are in the business of duplication. It says on 185, you are only as successful as your team. It's not just what you do, but what you duplicate that leads to a solid, successful, sustainable sales team. And this is where we're at with Anchored, is trying to create a very simple approach to duplication. And so would you agree it's so easy to overcomplicate things? I don't know about you, but I can overcomplicate something real fast. I'm thinking I'm making it better. But in reality, it might be better, but is it going to be something that someone else can come along and do? I don't know. If it's simple, can they do it? Probably. Probably more likely to do it if it is simple. So these duplication systems you must master in order for your sales to become successful. Check this out. 1, all team training, aka mastermind. 2, aspiring leaders training, coming soon. We are working. Angela's on here. So, okay, I'll tell you. Rank specific training. Would that be beneficial? If you felt like, okay, I'm sitting at senior gold points. I was a Ruby, now I'm a senior gold, or maybe you're a Ruby and you're like, I'm a solid Ruby, but I would love to get to senior Ruby and beyond. You had specific training for that. Because I'm not going to talk to a Ruby the same way I'm going to talk to a Sapphire. There's just different life lessons, different things, right? So those things are coming. And then you have the leadership training, which I would say are book clubs, work and worships, getting on the Monday night calls, offering your time up. Because if you're doing it yourself, then you are inherently going to learn, and then you're going to be able to teach other people how to do that as well. So one of the things that's really cool corporate does is if we were looking at these all team training systems, corporate already is doing so much for us. So drop a 2 in the chat if you're actually leveraging the corporate calls. Like, be honest. Are you yourself adding people to corporate calls Monday nights and then the after party? What about, the Wednesday VIP orientation? What does that look like? There's a couple more. Because this is the thing, they've already done it for us. We don't have to recreate the wheel. We just leverage and actually use what is already there. I will tell you, for years I didn't because they weren't done well. Just telling you. Today, they are smooth, they are efficient. I am getting very intentional. And a really fun part is it offers third-party validation. And they don't just see me doing all the things. So they see that there's a system and a community in place to support them. And they can get on the calls whenever they are available. It doesn't have to be live. That would be ideal. But there's replays of things. So, but then that's where the anchored community comes in because we're trying to piggyback off of those things to bring in the personalization and the community aspect of it. So, all right. What about power hours, work and worships? I wrote that down on page 187. A weekly team training or touch base call or things like that where, you're just kind of getting together and I think we do that really well in the group and the community and the page. But those work and worship times, there's more that's going to be coming out. Just want to encourage you, find a time that works for you. Shauna is not here now. She was on the call earlier. She said she got so much done. She doesn't know what it is, but when she's on a call, even though we're not technically sitting in the same room, she's like, I feel empowered. I'm getting my stuff done. Like it feels good to know I'm not alone. I'm not over here all alone trying to figure this stuff out. If you have questions, you can unmute, you can ask, you can work through it. I mean, I seriously highlighted everything so I could talk and talk some more. But who else has anything from chapter 8? Trish, that's a good suggestion. I'm going to send that over. Can I take a screenshot of it? You okay with that? I'm going to be like, listen, we need to update these VIP trainings. Because absolutely, especially right now, we have so much momentum happening with the Slim and Trim Challenge. All right, well, let's go into page 189. Because I think this is really, really important. She talks about defining your why and goal setting. Now, you can wash over this and you'd be like, it's not that big a deal. I already have a goal. I already know what I'm working for. But why are you working towards it? Like, you need to be able to go 7, 10 levels deep. Why is it important to you to earn an income in Plexus? Like, it doesn't have to be all about the money, but what could the money do for you? What does it look like for your family? How is that going to help our husbands with the amount of stress and pressure that they inherently feel because they are the burden bearers. That's the title God's given them. And then how does that look like if you don't have a husband? Like what are you're then taking on that role? So having the additional income is going to be really helpful. What does it mean? How is it going to help your family? How is it going to help your children? What kind of like stress is that going to eliminate? And then the goal setting aspect, goals should be set a year in advance, 6 months, 3 months, and 30 days. So we were talking, I was on a coaching call this morning, and we were mapping out her road to Emerald. And she's only 56 silvers away. Now that might sound like a lot. If you're like, I don't even got 1 silver this month, right? You're like, let's be honest. 56 sounds like a lot. But then if you look at it this way, yes, it's 56, but you're not doing it alone. And those are 56 individuals that you have now limited their out-of-pocket expense. Are they more likely to stay on the products long enough to have results? 100%. There's like a 92% chance that they are likely to stay on the products long enough to see results if they have gone silver in the first 30 days. That's a huge percentage because they don't have that. I don't have the money thing because they literally are being paid now. Plexus is going to pay them to get healthy. So setting up those goals and what it looks like, and then remembering it's okay to pivot and navigate. Your goals are not concrete. They have to be a little fluctuated. You have to have a little fluidity in them. But you keep pushing forward. And just because you don't hit a goal 1 month does not mean it didn't work. Doesn't mean you suck. Doesn't mean that you're not supposed to do this. Does not mean that somebody else is better suited for. Nope. It just means that, you know what? You're farther along than you were, first and foremost. Second of all, did you learn something? Would you have done something a little different? Maybe there is opportunity to personally grow yourself, your leadership, your mindset through that process. But I always like to tell people like, okay, you didn't hit the goal this month, but are you closer than you were last month? Yeah. And when people say, like, I only grew, whatever it is, whatever points, only, that's a huge win. Like any amount of growth is great. You didn't go backwards, right? So let's like knock that out. I only lost X amount of pounds. Girl, that's great. I only lost X amount of inches. I only added. I only grew. No, only should be like out of our vocabulary because the reality of it is any amount of growth is still growth. And in any business, if you're looking at corporate numbers, if you're looking at big enterprises, they're looking at growth. They're looking at the curves. And they realize there's seasons of ups and downs too, but then the longevity of it over time, you start to look at that and track those trends and you'll see amazing wins. She goes on to have several other things here, but it's important to just remember that a win is a win, no matter how small. And we celebrate them all. So we get in our heads and we think that we can't. And I think ultimately it ends up because we're trying to be comparing. We're comparing each other. We see somebody else. We think she's winning. We don't really know what she's walked through. We don't really know what's going on in her house. We don't really know what kind of trials she went through. We don't know what the heck her morning was like. So I tell you what, try to walk 1,000 miles in another girl's shoes. It's not fun. You don't know what they've had to work through to get to where they are at. And the same vice versa. They don't know what you're working on. And so I also think this is important. And sometimes we struggle with this on page 192. She says, when you are accountable to someone, you're far more likely to go the distance and take the program seriously. Would you agree with that? Do we like accountability? Let's be honest. We don't always like accountability because people call us out when we're not actually doing the things that we said we were going to do. But this is the hard truth is that if we don't keep promises to ourselves, we inevitably start to not trust ourselves. If we don't trust ourselves, then we really struggle with our worth and our value when we actually do accomplish goals because we think in the back of our heads, well, I don't really deserve this. I'm not worthy of this. I don't feel like I belong. I don't fit in. And then you inherently hit an upper limit that you didn't even know was there. And that upper limit will stop you from excelling and elevating to the next level because you inherently self-sabotage without even recognizing that that's what you're doing. So let me give you an example of this. You earn, and you guys might have seen this, you earn Leaders Retreat. You are enjoying Leaders Retreat. You got the graphic, you got the shout out, you got the cute outfit. And then like right before you go and you get on the plane, you don't message people. You're not following up. You're not checking in with your customers. You're busy. You're getting ready for a trip. Yes, I understand. But how did you get there? Because of the work that you did before, right? Have you ever seen anybody who's earned trips and then you don't ever see them again? I have. I've seen girls like run and earn amazing things. And then the next go round, like sucked up by aliens, don't know where they went. You know what happened? They hit an upper limit. They upper limited themselves. They hit that upper limit. Before they knew it, they're not able to like work through or navigate or even recognize that that's what they were doing. So it's recognizing the small wins, but also realizing that you have triggers. You have things that are going to inherently hold you back that you don't recognize. That is why having an accountability buddy is so important. Somebody that loves you, somebody that breathes life into you, somebody who's going to love you enough to speak truth to you and say, girl, that's you. That's all. You're all in your own head. You're making this whole thing up. I love you, but it's not how it actually is going down. Or did you do the things that you needed to do or that you said you were going to do? Are you keeping promises to you? You said you're going to walk 30 miles this month in 30 days. Did you walk today? You said you're going to reach out. You said that you were going to do this. Now, sometimes we overreach and we say a lot, but this is why you need to have those goals. You have them written down. You had to break them down into small, attainable goals that you can measure. Smart goals are the best goals because you can measure them, you can recognize them, and then you can see how you are progressing. But having accountability doesn't have to be ugly. It is not criticism. It is truly loving somebody enough to care about their success. And when you look at it as that, you can offer that to your customers too. So I like to ask my customers, do I have your permission to be your accountability buddy? And they're usually like, what does that mean? Well, I just want to check in on you. I want to see if you are keeping promises to yourself. If you need help, I want to cheer you on. I want to pray for you. I want to encourage you. But maybe I got some ideas for you, some simple things to help you navigate getting started, being consistent. Honestly, I feel like people don't give it enough time. They quit on themselves way too soon. And I just automatically go into I'm already cutting off the excuses. So a couple things I see is people don't give it enough time to work. They're not drinking enough water, right? They just not consistently taking their products. Some of the other stuff I see too is I go right to mindset. I'm like, some of them they don't even think it's going to work in the first place. So they start self-sabotaging. Not that I think you would do that, but just in case. Oh, yeah. Angela is like the identity, right? So I think the biggest thing is that she said it here on page 198, and I really, really liked it, is that momentum is created by a lot of people, each doing a little bit more. Momentum is created by a lot of people, each doing a little bit more. I did a whole training on momentum, and the secret to momentum, anybody want to guess? Drop it in the chat. I would love to hear what you think the secret to momentum is. Okay. Lisa said activity. Angela said momentum, lead from the front, do the things. Nan said consistency. These are all great answers. See Gail over there. Is she typing? Doing that's a big word. I'm going to try to sound this out. Monotonous.
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 So we get bored
Mm-hmm.
as humans, and this is, they say it is, and it is an easy business, but we just get,
Mm-hmm.
the monotony makes us not want to do it. So just getting used to calm yourself down about doing the monotonous activity that's needed.
Mm-hmm. I love it. We're going to have a spelling check later, girls. We'll have a spelling bee. Okay. Deb said supporting others. All right. What if I challenged you on all of those answers and I actually told you momentum was a mindset? What if momentum is all about the story that you're telling yourself? Momentum can be a mindset. And it boils down to, yeah, absolutely. It's about activity and it's about leading people from the front and it's about being consistent. It's about doing the little things. It's about doing the mundane things every day. It's about supporting others. But momentum can be a mindset and it's the shift that we make because we start to step into who God has called us to be. And in that, we start to learn that we can do hard things and we can grow and we can learn and it can be a little scary. But at the end of the day, your most impactful amount of growth that you will ever happen in life, in my opinion, is never in your comfort zone. It is always just outside your comfort zone. Would you agree? Have you ever had those moments where you're like, oh, I know I got to talk to her about this, or I want to do this, or I'm going to set this huge, audacious goal, and then it happens and you stepped out of your comfort zone and you did the things? Isn't that, what's that feeling? It feels so rewarding. It feels like you're so proud of yourself, not an arrogant, I'm proud thing. No, like you are inside. And the thing is, you kept the promise to you. So it built up trust and belief in you. So the next time you do something, you're going to believe in you. That builds up confidence. That confidence comes from believing that you are keeping promises to you. You said you were going to do what you're going to do, and you did it. So momentum as a mindset is that belief and that choice to do the things you said you were going to do and to show up and to be consistent and to keep the activities going, the monotonous, the mundane, the day in, the day out, the simple system. Be creative, have fun with it, make it your own. Just keep doing the things and give it time to work. All right, so next week is our last week. We are going to do chapter 9, creating team culture, the glue that holds a team together. I think this is something that is going to be a lot of fun because of the fact this is exactly what we're doing in the anchored community is we are cultivating a team culture. Culture on your team starts with you. Culture is something that you get to create. So, what does that look like? What does it look like to you? We can give you all sorts of ideas again, but it's your niche, your market, your people, your neighbors, your audience. It could be in-person events. It could be book clubs. It could be Bible studies. It could be walking dates. I love that, Nan. That's a great idea. Get a bunch of girls walking around your neighborhood together. Walking at lunch date for the worker girls. We're going to meet out here. We're going to walk the parking lot. Homeschool mamas doing co-ops together. I even had a girlfriend that she started a knitting group. She was older and she was teaching women how to crochet. I was like, that's brilliant. So much fun. I want to learn how to do that. It's like, sign me up. She's like, you're not my audience. You're not allowed to come. I was like, what? So have fun with it. Learn to do new things. Stretch yourself. Don't be afraid. And just remember that you are creating something absolutely incredible. I want to leave you with this little quote. It says, you don't need a new opportunity. You need a new commitment to the opportunity that you've already been given. So that momentum, that mindset starts with you. So I am so proud of you. Thank you for taking time. Thank you for reading through the book, doing the things, and joining us on these calls. I'm excited about wrapping up this book and then introducing you to the next one. So we're going to keep this education train going because I really truly believe that when you work on you work on you personally, your business will professionally grow. Just like when you move your body, you move your business. Inherently, they are interconnected together, just like peanut butter jelly. All right, ladies, thank you so much for giving me your time today. I hope this was valuable for you. And if you're watching on replay, we would love to hear your feedback and your takeaways. And again, thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, go out and multiply, girls.
Thank you, Jenna. I appreciate your time